The Nicomachean Ethics is a philosophical treatise by Aristotle that explores the nature of morality and a good life. It is broken down into 10 books. In Book 1, Aristotle begins by stating that every action aims at some good, and that the ultimate good must be something complete and self-sufficient. Any good which is not complete and self-sufficient is merely a means to achieve the ultimate good. He argues that this ultimate good is happiness, or what the Greeks call eudaimonia. Happiness is not pleasure or wealth, but rather the highest human function or activity, which Aristotle identifies as the contemplative life of the philosopher. Aristotle then examines the concept of virtue in Book 2. He explains that virtues are habits and dispositions that help individuals act in accordance with reason and achieve good. Virtue is a mean between extremes, and moral virtue is developed through habituation and practice. In Books 3 and 4, Aristotle discusses specific moral virtues and their relative vices. He categorizes virtues into 2 types, those concerned with emotions and desires, and those concerned with actions and choices. Aristotle suggests that the morally virtuous person possesses practical wisdom, or phronesis, which allows them to determine the mean between extremes in each specific situation. Book 5 explores intellectual virtues, such as theoretical wisdom and understanding. Aristotle believes that these virtues are important for the pursuit of knowledge and truth. He also discusses how pleasure and pain affect moral virtue, arguing that pleasure should not be the ultimate goal, but rather a byproduct of virtuous actions. In fact, he mentions how pursuing pleasure rather than true happiness leads to a life of greed, selfishness, and excess. Aristotle introduces the concept of voluntary and involuntary actions in Book 6. He argues that moral virtue is exhibited in voluntary actions, and that individuals are responsible for their choices. Additionally, he explores the psychology of moral virtue, highlighting the role of emotions and character in ethical behavior. In Book 7, Aristotle examines continence and incontinence. He distinguishes between individuals who struggle to act virtuously but ultimately succeed, and those who know the right course of action but fail to follow it. He argues that it is better to be continent than incontinent, but being virtuous is the highest ideal. In Books 8 and 9, Aristotle discusses friendship. He asserts that friendship is an important aspect of the good life and that it is founded on virtue. There are 3 types of friendship: utility, pleasure, and virtuous friendship. Virtuous friendship is the most desirable as it involves mutual respect and admiration of each other's virtues. Finally, in Book 10, Aristotle discusses the relationship between ethics and politics. He argues that the purpose of politics is to enable citizens to live virtuous and fulfilling lives. He suggests that the ideal political system is one that cultivates and promotes virtue among its citizens, as this leads to a harmonious and flourishing society. The key takeaway from the Nicomachean Ethics is that living a good life and achieving happiness require the ultimate cultivation of moral and intellectual virtues that extends beyond simple pleasure. Virtue lies in finding the mean between extremes, and moral virtue can be developed through habituation and practice. These book reviews come from my website, thoughttheory.net. If you go there, you'll be able to find quotes and critical thinking questions associated with these books. If you'd like me to review a book that I haven't done yet, I encourage you to leave a comment either here or on my website. If you're on YouTube, the link to the website will be in the description of this video. If you're on TikTok, the link will be in my profile. With all of that out of the way, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for thinking. This has been Thought Theory, and peace.